What up, Huck Squad? I remember when I first started throwing Discmania, I was a forehand dominant player, and it took me a little while to figure out which discs I really like to forehand the most. And I'm gonna be talking about 5 of my favorite forehand discs in this video. Before I get started, I'm actually excited to announce, for the first time in my time, I have a creator code. It is NOAH20. For any purchase that you make on discmania.net, you get 20% off the entire purchase, which is huge. I'm also gonna be tying a giveaway to that. So anyone who uses my creator code, NOAH20 at checkout, if you screenshot your confirmation and message me the screenshot on either Instagram or Facebook Messenger, you'll be entered to win a giveaway. And I'm gonna put a fire mystery box together. Could be a couple signature series, but everything will be brand new and it would totally be worth your while. Enough of that, let's just talk about these forehand discs. The first disc that I probably throw the most every single round is my Tactic, and I prefer the Tactic in the baseline plastic in the EXO Hard. This is just a perfect all-around forehand approach disc. It's great for tee shots. For me, when it's brand new, it's a little bit better off the tee. Now, since it's a little bit beaten in, I really don't trust it off the tee on full power shots anymore. This disc is typically used for scrambling if I'm off the fairway, or if I'm on a long par 4 and I need like a 150 or 200 foot forehand upshot, just a little stock hyzer. I really don't put it on too much ante anymore. Once it starts to beat in, it'll hold a little bit more to the left. The Tactic is my go-to for pretty much any upshot within 200 feet. And if I'm off the fairway, I think one of the most important shots in all of disc golf is the lean out straddle forehand approach from like anywhere like 150 in. I think it can save everyone up to a stroke or two every single round if you don't already have that incorporated in your game. So the Tactic, absolutely perfect approach disc and great for those off the fairway leaning forehand shots. Next up a little bit in speed, we have the MD5. Similar to most of these discs I'm actually talking about today, they're all pretty beaten in. So the flights that you see are seasoned. They are not brand new disc flights. They are the flights that you would get after you beat the disc in a little bit. This is one of my most versatile discs. I can really crank on it off the tee. Even if I turn it over a little bit, it is still gonna fight back at the end, even though it's a couple years old at this point. If I throw it flat, it's just gonna fade. And if I throw it on hyzer, it's just gonna hold that hyzer pretty much the whole way. So the MD5 is a great mid-range when it comes to forehanding, especially my type of forehanding. I'm more on the style of throwing overstable on a little bit more of a flex or a little bit flat rather than flipping up a hyzer on a more understable disc. So most of the discs that you see in this lineup that I'm talking about today are going to be probably more leaning towards overstable. So MD5 is a wonderful mid-range forehand disc that Discmania offers. Next, why don't we go with the FD3. This disc is probably my longest tenured disc in my bag. I've probably had this purple FD3 for going on 5 years now, and it's honestly one of the hardest colors to find and one of the hardest colors to see on camera, but it's one of my favorite forehand discs of all time, honestly. It can go 350, you can put it on ante and it'll flex back, you can put it flat and it's just gonna have a fade at the end, you can put it on hyzer and it's gonna give you that consistent fade. I don't know, this is just one of my favorite, not just my favorite forehand disc that Discmania offers, it's just one of my favorite discs that Discmania offers in general. So the FD3, I couldn't speak any higher of it. So I actually have an honorable mention, and that is gonna be the Splice. The Splice is an extremely unique disc. It is extremely overstable, and I kind of like to call it a throwable tilt, because the tilt, as fun as it is to throw, you really never find the opportunity to throw a tilt in a real round, but a Splice, you actually can throw pretty far. I can get the Splice probably just under 300 feet on a really kind of powerful flex ante. And when you throw the Splice, you almost need to throw it like you're throwing a baseball or a football. You really got to throw it like almost overhand. If you throw it just like a regular forehand, it's going to immediately dump to the right. And this is definitely like a utility disc for me. I only use it in specific spots. If you're off the fairway and you need to throw something really soft but on a lot of angle, this one will, even on a soft throw, it'll still pan back to flat or even pan back into a hyzer. So the Splice is just a really cool, unique disc that I think just deserved an honorable mention. Now we're getting into the 2 distance drivers that I throw for forehands, and the Stratosphere Horizon DD1. When this disc first came out, it was one of my favorite forehand discs that I've ever thrown. You pop it out there on a tiny bit of hyzer and it's gonna flip up and go forever before coming back. Now that I'm throwing it a little bit more, it's getting a little bit flippy, but it still has that late fade and I can still trust it off the tee. Today I'm actually out here with one of my teammates, Matt Bishop, and he actually throws a forehand pretty well too. And lately he messaged me and he was like, dude, the DD1 on a forehand is just absolutely money. So he was able to get out here for just a couple throws in this video, but he absolutely loves the DD1. That's probably his favorite Discmania driver to forehand. The DD1 fits in my hand and feels just like a DD3, but it's just gonna turn and glide a little bit more than a DD3. So I can still get the DD1 up to about 400 feet, and it's just an absolute bomber forehand disc. And lastly, my favorite driver when it comes to forehanding is the DD3. And I've had this DD3 in my bag for probably 2 years now, so it is really seasoned. It's gonna fly a little straighter than you would see a brand new DD3, but the S-Line DD3 has to be probably my favorite all-around distance driver. I backhand this disc, I forehand this disc, I can crush on it on a forehand on a little bit of flat and it's gonna turn and then give you that fade at the end. I can crush on it on a forehand on Annie and it's gonna hold and give me the fade at the end. And it's just an absolutely perfect distance driver when it comes to forehanding. And I just couldn't speak much higher of it. I can probably get it now up to about 425, like absolute max on flat ground. But that would take like a pretty high sweeping Annie. The DD3 and the FD3 are a great combo for fairway and distance drivers if you want forehand discs from Discmania. These are just awesome. So that's gonna do it for this video. I really just wanted to keep it short. I wanted to just kind of give you guys some insight into my favorite Discmania forehand discs. Make sure to go to discmania.net, use that creator code. You have until October 9th to use that creator code, and anything that you purchase, you'll get 20% off, and a little bit of what you would order is gonna get kicked back to me as well, so you'll be able to help support me too. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys are out forehanding a bunch of Discmania discs. And if you're not, then hopefully this video showed you kind of which discs to start with. I kind of hit on every mold that I throw for forehands, and these are just the ones that I've found over the years have worked the best for me. That's my game. These are my forehand discs, and I hope it inspired you to get one of these and kind of try it out. So I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.